Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be covering what would happen if the Electoral College is tied in the 2024 election. What exactly happens that determines the presidency? So I'm saying it's going to be tied 269 to 269. What would happen? I got two scenarios up on here on how it could potentially tie. The first scenario is the no label scenario. The no labels party fields a candidate, either pick Larry Hogan or Joe Manchin. I think Larry Hogan would be a better chance of triggering an electoral college tie than Joe Manchin because he is a Republican, so he'd more likely than not take a lot more moderate votes away, and he wouldn't hurt Biden as much as Manchin would, which is why I would say it's more likely with Hogan running, but it could happen even with Manchin running. So let me just fill in the safe states here. I'm not going to use like any likely states in this scenario because it would just overcomplicate anything. I might use lean states just to show, like, in the procedure of a tie, what could potentially happen, but that's about that. Let's just keep on filling in the rest of these safer states to enable this tie. Okay, so the no label scenario, yeah, it would still involve, again, Biden winning in the Rust Belt, but it would result in somehow, let's say the Republican candidate just manages to win Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and Nebraska second. This is the scenario which triggers it. So the Republican candidate, just due to no labels could take away votes from a moderate candidate, and being Joe Biden, could take away votes away from him, just triggering this election tie because the Republicans would end up winning Nebraska second with a no labels independent taking away centrist votes away from Joe Biden in Nebraska's second district, which is quite a centrist district, I would say. So this would trigger a 269 to 269 tie. Now we're going to the tie procedure, and I'm going to be using this little map right here. So the tie procedure, you need to get 26 states to win. You need to get 26 House delegations of each state. Yep, that's how complicated this is. It's not by electoral votes anymore. It's by House maps. So depending on the delegations here, we have a delegation, for example, let's just pull a random one. Let's say Michigan. I'm just going to explain how this works in case you guys don't understand. But Michigan right here. So in this scenario, it's newly elected 2024 House members that decide a state delegation. So it's just the elected members of that House delegation in 2024, not 2022 delegation. So this would mean the Democrats here, they have 7 House seats in Michigan in this scenario, while the Republicans have 6. So because the Democrats have a narrow majority here, they would win Michigan's House delegation, and that would be one state in favor of Joe Biden. Let's say that the House delegation in Michigan was different. Let's say that the Republicans actually won the 7th seat, and that would make the House delegation in Michigan go to Republican, and that would be a Republican total there. But for this scenario, if Biden wins Michigan, then the Democrats are certainly winning its House delegation by a narrow 7-6. So let me just go into the total map here. So there's also mixed delegations like Wisconsin and Minnesota, which are tied 4-4. I'll explain the scenario for that in a bit. But for now, we're just going to fill in the solids on each side here on this map. And yes, the Republicans have quite a big advantage because they usually win most of the smaller states. Plus, they did do a lot of gerrymandering in Georgia, Florida, soon to be North Carolina as well. While the Democrats, again, they would have quite a big advantage here. They also have Alaska, which is preventing the Republicans from getting 26. So in a 269 scenario, I would expect Mary Batola to stand by Biden here and just not give it to a Republican nominee. Especially if it's Trump, I would see every Democrat would be united in opposition against him. But again, let me just fill in Michigan and Pennsylvania. They have odd numbers here, so that's kind of good for the Democrats that isn't mixed. Arizona in this scenario. Honestly, yeah, in the exact scenario, the Republicans win here, and the Republicans win here, then they're likely winning Arizona 6. So it really depends on who wins the state here. I think Arizona's first, no matter what. I think Swikart is kind of screwed. But Okay, let's go back to the map. So already the Democrats are at a disadvantage because they didn't win that House seat in Arizona. But let's say that they did. Let's say that they did win it. That would definitely put it down to the Republicans don't have enough, and it's down to these mixed states. So let's say hypothetically that the Democrats did win 5 out of the 4 seats here. Then these mixed states, if they're tied 4-4, one of these representatives in each of these states, one of them has to budge on either party. And it would be really messy if that scenario even happens. But most likely, if the Republicans are winning Arizona, that scenario is not coming to fruition. And the Republicans have such a large advantage here on the Electoral College map. Just on the state level, they win most of the smaller states, like in the West, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa. They win all those smaller states here that are more rural. They just have a big rural advantage. And again, in this Electoral College tie scenario, the Democrats probably end up losing because of the Republicans' just huge advantage in an Electoral College tie just with the House state delegations here. Let me just reset the states again, because there's another scenario here that's could be a bit more promising for the Democrats, but still it's not the best scenario they should be really hoping for. So let me just make sure I didn't forget any states to reset here. I don't think so. Okay, the next scenario. It's a very weird looking map. It's a much harder scenario than the happen, which is this is the most likely scenario for Electoral College tie. So the map is something like this. Let me just make sure it's zoomed in a bit more. But yeah, this scenario here, I know you guys are going to say, that's like impossible. It could happen. We could see Wisconsin and Pennsylvania vote to the right of Georgia. In North Carolina, it's really not trending Republican. It's kind of trending slightly to the left, just based off the urban and suburban growth it's experiencing. It's going to be a huge swing state, and Biden could certainly win it. So it could vote to the left of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. You never know about these things, about how states change over time. In Nevada, I actually kind of doubt it would vote Republican here. But again, it could certainly happen somehow. But this Electoral College tie is the second most likely one. And let me just show you the House map here, because the House map honestly really does matter. So if the Republicans are winning Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, then Pennsylvania is probably going, their House delegation is probably going Republican, because those 2 seats right there are just extremely narrow. In Michigan, again, the 7th district, if it votes Republican, then Michigan's probably going Republican as a whole. There's also an outside chance that Montana's first creates a mixed delegation here. And then I don't know what would happen when the Democrats just refuse. It's really complicated what happens in a mixed delegation, but it would probably result in the Democrat probably falling over to follow the Republican here, unless some sort of deal is made between both the parties. What other areas would change? I really don't think anything else would change here. Arizona could certainly change. I mean, let me go back to this map. Yeah, if the Democrats are winning in Arizona, then they're probably winning the House seat there. Okay. So it'd come out like this. The House state delegation. Again, the Republicans probably have won Michigan and Pennsylvania's state delegations. They probably won in Montana too if they have a map like that. But there's always an outside chance that this state goes to mixed. Wisconsin probably stays mixed because of how they're redrawing the maps. Good to have it. Certainly an outside chance of going Republican. Nevada is very gerrymandered in favor of Dems. Republicans could win the House delegation here if they're winning the state, but I just kind of doubt it. Arizona, again, if they're winning here, they're probably winning the delegation. Alaska, it's Mary Patola. She's probably not going to lose. So in this second most likely scenario, it's probably a Democratic loss again. However, there is a scenario where House Democrats outperform Joe Biden, which would result in Pennsylvania and Michigan flipping in favor of them again to a 25 to 23 to 2 tie. So even if the Democrats get both the mixed states their way, it's still 25 to 25, and that would be chaos. It would be it would be very crazy, the negotiations. We could see negotiations going on in, like, I don't know. What other state would have a close House map? Honestly, I really don't know. I think it still would probably result in a Republican president somehow, just because of the mixed delegation in Wisconsin. No one would be willing to flip. We could see, like, a negotiation go down where the Democrat or the Republicans split the ticket somehow. That could boil it down that way. There's also the crazy scenario then. Okay, let's go to the House map again. Let's say we just fix Pennsylvania and Michigan because it'll be bothering me. Because in this scenario, they go Democratic for argument's sake. Let's say the Democrats win the Montana's first district. It gets even more uh, complicated, but even more favorable for them. So let's say a scenario like this happens. Then there's an actual path for Democrats to be elevated to the presidency. We could see Minnesota and Wisconsin go their way because, again, that could also certainly happen. But in most scenarios here, the Republican, in a map like this one, the Republicans are probably winning the state delegations in Michigan and Pennsylvania. So overall, if the Electoral College is tied, it's a very likely a Republican victory, just based off how the procedure works and how complex it is. But there's always this weird caveat with these two mixed states here. But at the same time, Electoral College tie, most likely a Republican wins. That's pretty much the gist of it. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I would highly appreciate it if you to subscribe to the channel. I cover politics all the time, and let me know in the comments what you think about this video. Do you think that I'm wrong, that Republicans would be favored in the Electoral College tie? Let me know. But other than that, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.